All right, let's do this. Let's bow in. Big time. Hello, everyone. Thanks for hanging around during the long day that it's been so far, but it's been a great day as well. We've all heard a lot of cool stuff, and this session is going to be focused on Bokken Kata 6 through 12. But I'm also understanding that there are a lot of people who are singles, as in they don't have a partner in front of them. So we'll address some of that as well. To get going here, let's everyone with your Bokken. This will work for singles and doubles. Simple side to side. Basically, your weapons, Seigan, Gedan, move to your left, move to your right as you go down. Up and down, up and down, up and down. For purposes of Saburi, of course you can go both directions, but for purposes of Kata, you want to get this flow going that you're making basically Tai Sabaki movement. So move to your left, weapon goes up. Move to your right, weapon comes down. Left up, right down. If you happen to have a partner, all right. Mm-hmm. I got a malfunction. Never works right when you want it. But I think you all see what's going on here is the idea that as I speed, he deflects it up and cuts my wrist. Bam. Instead of him cutting my wrist, I hit. So what makes this not become a kata, not become a saburi in the kata? This would be kata number 6. It would start out as looking like a saburi. The difference is, I'll speed. Slowly. Move now. That change. Partner changes, otherwise it's just saburi. It becomes saburi if you don't change. The change is he steps offline when I'm cutting. Or just before. Keep going, take the next step. Slowly. And I really encourage you, whenever you're working on these, to take those, what I call critical moments, seriously. Those are the critical moments where the kata can go a lot of different ways. Meaning that there are variations, but a lot of times they happen at those critical moments. This is a great critical moment. The place where if he's not ready, if he's not in place, if his hands are not prepared, that critical moment will result in injury. Okay, so think of it as the purpose of this, of course, is cut wrist, but there is a different critical moment. Critical moment. Keep going. All right. So with your partner, if you're all alone, practice this way, but every now and then by yourself, then make a very deliberate cut. So they're not just swinging. That's just a saburi. But kata would be, you make a very deliberate movement to finish. Deliberate moment. Critical moment. If you don't have that, sometimes you're missing one of the main teaching points of these particular kata. Lots of other things with this. One would be, I hope you all don't mind me using this camera here instead of going to the side for right now. Is that okay with you? Great. When you are reaching up, the tendency a lot of times is to try to grab your weapon. Now don't forget, this is a critical moment. Do you want your critical moment to end this way? Probably not. Critical moment a lot of times involves you having the wherewithal to have practiced touching your weapon. So when you get there, it's not a surprise. You should be expecting to be hit, is what I'm saying. if you're not expecting to be hit, you do this and you might get hit. Instead, I'm expecting to be hit. And once you're in this place, you have your weight on it. You're not just swinging the weapon. This is your weight. Your weight actually has a lot to do with this. So practice by yourself if you're doing 90 side, but right when you would be hit, make sure your left hand touches your right all the way over and turn. This will allow that critical moment to not be critical in the ICU version. So here we go again. That's a very solid place that you can be, okay? So we're gonna try that for just a moment on your own. Try it on your own as well. Just to make a solo practice for most everybody, get the sense of up, down, over yourself. Up, down, over yourself. I also recommend that you try not to stop the weapon flush or square, but have an angle such that when I do strike his weapon, if he's square on, you'll get this. If he turns, he gets this. A lot of the energy gets dissipated because you're actually turning your body. Don't turn the weapon, turn yourself. So the same place again. This idea. Energy goes through. Try not to block it this way. That's a block. Okay? So hold on. Here we go. Slowly, it's fine. Slowly, it's fine. That's where you get that feeling. It has the energy, it has the intention, and also it has the right teaching point that he's not just trying to oppose, he's actually agreeing past. Okay? Next, we're going to go through these quickly, and then we'll go back and pick up some other final points if there's time for it. We have a lot of kata to do. That was 6, now 7. Actually, before you do that, everyone, so we started last time here. That was the last kata. Very similar. Catch yourself. You can do it with me. So the weapon's coming in, very similar to this, but instead of going away and cutting on top, you're going under and covering your head. Your tip is pointed at your partner's throat. You'll also notice that you're not changing hanmi. It starts out, gate on, right foot forward, receive, still right foot forward, and then you can ski to the throat, left foot forward. Again, solo practice really helps this because you want to be able to, at a moment's notice, decide to cut the wrist or cut under the wrist. Your partner should not know which one you're doing. Your partner skis and they see the weapon go up, but is it going on top to cut back, or is it going up to go all the way through so that you can trust it? Let's try that. So you ski. It's important that Uke is giving the energy. That's why I'm taking this role for this class. The role of Uke is very much important in all that we do, but it really shows up having the correct energy for these particular kata. Because the kata have a similar entry, a lot of things can happen. But Uke's job a lot of times is to make the precise version that we're working on. So, please, slow this one. Under. Good. One more time. Good. So one thing about this, is everybody okay with that, making those movements on your own? The ukemi side of this has a little bit of a change. Instead of going back, we're doing this together so you all can see and I'm helping him and he's helping you. But the idea is that this time I'll speak. As he goes under, if I just lift my hands, you're busted. Can you all see that? You're busted here. Instead, you want to be able to find out how you can change the angle. I see. That's what you're looking for. How do you change the angle? So that block, like most things, this doesn't block. These block. How do you move your feet to actually save yourself? Once more, please. Slow as fun. Thrust. If you just go back, you're working after the fact. You're going to try to get out of a bad situation. Instead, thrust. Thrust. You're taking that option away as much as you can. It's never perfect because as things get faster, you won't be able to move so well. But understand, the point is to be able to, from this angle, when I thrust and I ski, he's cutting here. Don't just back up, he'll take this. Instead, remove the whole thing. It's the same process as this, right? Turn your body. So, your turn. Slow down, peel off, you go that way. Yes, so when I thrust, that's how he survives. He's changing the angle deliberately, not just running away, he's changing the angle to his advantage. Once more, please. Slowly, stay there. So right now, your left foot goes there a little bit, and then your right foot goes the other. He peels that away. To get him, I step with the other foot, and it goes away. Not so easy, but the technique side, of course, we'll do this together, is the thrust, and the partner is taking under. Left foot, I recommend first, turn. It'll leave you off angle, as opposed to just trying to back up quickly. You don't want a surprise. Slow. It also leaves you in place to finish. Everybody need to see that again? Everybody okay? I think you all know this. I'm just pointing out that it's a common mistake to just lift your hands and your body is still there, or to lift your hands and you run back. You run you down and you try to get around. Instead, from the beginning, whoa! And you've seen Saotome Sensei do this 1.5 billion times, where he moves in. That's the idea. You're actually changing the angle. Whoa. You're actually changing your body, changing the angle. It's just that this kata has it built in. So, you ski, change the angle. No, slow. It doesn't have to be fast, it needs to be accurate. That's the idea. Finish, yes. Mm-hmm. Now, the reason you have this hand extended is because you have more distance that you can take advantage of. So, 2 hands, please. No. Stay there. 2 hands, please. How about 1 hand? Just your left hand. See, you want that a little bit of extra room there. How are we doing on time? Good. So here we go. Let's go. You ski. Right. That means I'm going too fast, so that's a good thing. When you're practicing and you feel your partner's still making a particular error, don't tell him to fix it. This side fixes it. This side is pushing him for where he's not able to yield the range. Now, where do you go? Yes. Where do you go? You can move again. Yes. Yeah. Okay? So just put that in your bank account. We're going to come back to that in a little bit. All right? So we have this saburi. We have this saburi. Number 8. Let's get again. Bam. Next saburi. Partner comes in. Drop your weight on it. Men. I'm cautious about saying ashi men. That may be how it works sometimes if your partner, if he spikes really low, if the ski is really low, sometimes the temptation is to try to go that way. But his ski should be to my throat, I believe. If his ski's to my throat, bam, it happens there. So the idea is, how do you get your weight here? How do you receive this? How do you receive it at your throat? It goes down, and then you take men right away. You don't wait. So don't think it's 2 cuts. It's not. you look at your watch. So his movement now has to handle the men. That's the basic idea here. Now, there's lots of ways that people will handle how they handle after that. But the basic critical point is that you're not killed defending your leg. You can defend, just defend your leg. Defend your leg. Bam, dead. Instead, how does the whole system, that's the critical moment, how do you make that? And for obvious reasons, maybe not so obvious, you always take kote from this kata. Why? Just take please. Slowly. Take shoulder. Bam. Oh, you got me. So a teaching point is also remember you want to pick and choose your time. It doesn't mean he couldn't take men later. It just means that he wants to take kote first, and that's a big thing. Kote men. Kote men. You can do that. But don't just take men and hope you're going to survive. Very okay. So important. The ski is here. Don't push it down as much as change it and take men. Yes. And notice he peels out at the end to step away. Very, very important. That's the energy and teaching point. Is how do you make that spread? How are we doing? Good. We're almost through the first step. Now, if you're all alone with this, yes, that's the attack, right? See, that's the defense after the attack. The ski comes in, you receive it high, lead it down, but your weapon immediately goes to men. Weapon comes down, immediately goes to men. The nage, which is the attacker side, a little different. When you ski and you feel your weapon being moved that way, your leg has to be part of this motion. Do not try to just back off. For the same reason we did from last time. We back off, we're going to be down. Instead, here, I'll ski. This is me just standing here. This is following the leg. You're actually going to be passing your partner. So when you turn, kote. You can actually find a way, through all this. But the thing is to train yourself not to resist. This is the first thing that happens when you ski and you feel that pressure, everybody's pressing. The second you resist in that way, your feet stop. My feet stop. And do me a favor, don't kill me, but go right to men. I resist, go right to men, yes. So see, the crashing happens by resisting. It's not about being solid, it's about resisting. Let your body take this by moving your leg. Body. And Sensei's done that to me more than once. The body check, right when he passes, got boom. Okay? So you know what I'm talking about? Okay. Don't resist. Yes, and back off. Back off, finish. Yes. Okay? So we have Saburi 1, Saburi 2, Saburi 3. Now we're at kata number 9. I see. Start this way. Right, ready? Move your leg. When he starts slow, move your leg. Don't just put your weapon there. It's not enough. Start that loose. Sense? Critical moment. Is this a critical moment? Yeah. But that was a more critical moment when his head might have not been there anymore. I recommend that in the same way here for the other kata. That when you strike low, understand this is open. Immediately go to blocking the head. Don't go, is he going to hit me? Yes, he will, or she will. Here you go. There. Just relax. So this critical moment, most time we get caught like this. This is hold up there. That's where we are most of the time. Remember kata 6? How do you change some of that energy? Yes. by letting it carom off. Basically, here, there, okay. I recommend practicing. You're basically holding your weapon here. Just lower your backhand. But guess what? That's not enough. Lower your backhand while you're moving in. So if you lower your hand and then push, you're back where you started. You're still pushing on your partner. I think you all understand that. So let's switch roles for a moment. You speed slowly. This is the other subordinate. Take the leg, and you are moving in. But again, the critical moment, you're welcome to study that. It's very, very fine to study it. You either move in. No. Yes, sir. That's the critical moment. You don't have to see that. Better critical moment for our normal practice is not to show me, not a good place for a critical moment. It's not a place because you're using the power of your reading, not the power of stopping him so you can read. But the thing is, to put it into the kata means you generally have to do one or two things. Well, you have to do two things. First thing is understand that you're probably backing off. Most of us, after I take the leg, most of us back off to receive it, and then we move in. That's not wrong, but consider that your first step to incorporate it into your normal Aiki movement. Instead, when you cut the leg, inimi. This is inimi. You're actually moving in. So your tip stays forward. Do not bring your tip back, if that helps you though. So try that a little bit. Ashi, back off. Or ashi, irini. Right away, I think most of you are going to feel a way that feels better. Ashi, back off. Ashi, irini. Again. Ashi, back off. Ashi, irini. Not because you're bowling over your partner, but you're crossing. Right? You don't hit him and then try to enter, you cross. Okay. That was number what, 9?
That was number 9.
All right, so again, I'm just backtracking. 6, 7, 8. What's 9? 9. 9. Try a couple of times. 9. Sometimes have to even say it to yourself. 9. 10. 10 is very similar. 10, if you were to pair these up, would be almost the opposite of number 7. If 7 went this way, 10 goes this way. 7, 10. Difference is you're going to enter. So here, this would be 7. Peel up. This didn't have to pay. Yes, great. 10, because the angles in our hands are different, there's no peel off. You take all of that. You're going through your partners. Now, I know you may see in different videos where people are taking it very easily, and that's fine because you're working through the pieces. You just stay there and lift it up and then cut and drop. But to really get some of the feeling of this, you want to drive through your partner by moving in. Down and in. Not just in. Sensei talked a lot about that earlier, right? Having a certain spirit to these things. Whoa! You can try. One time? I know I switch roles on you, but I don't know. Leading as you go in. Now watch here for a second. Right? You're missing something. So this is very common. If you get too close, one of us will step on the other's weapon. In other words, we get in this place, it's very common. Sensei do this sometimes too. You step on your weapon. Instead, when he takes my weapon down, he keeps his tip a little higher than his hands. My target is my neck. Yes. Now, if I go to sleep right here, this is where the problem happens. I go to sleep too fast. Oh! Worse than that, believe it or not, there is something worse. Worse is to go to sleep and then try to catch it. You're bringing his weapon into your face. Instead, just put your weapon out for a second. Lift your weapon. Drop your weapon. Lift your weapon. Drop your weapon. Lift your weapon. Drop your weapon. The idea being that you are floating under your partner's weapon. You're not just hitting the ground and hoping he goes for it. You're actually floating. See, I'm trying to think of a way to practice this as a solo, and that would be to, when you go down, keep pressure that way. Not so much the push-up, but keep pressure on it. So when I go through, don't cut my neck and just raise your weapon. See, I'm still with him. There's a very sticky connection here. Saotome Sensei used to talk about this all the time, a stickiness that happens. So I'm cutting under. Another thing that I think is important that you understand what happens at the end. You're not just hitting his weapon away, because his weapon comes back. He's sticky, you're sticky. Instead, when you move, his weapon goes that way, and I really recommend you adopt going the opposite way. Basically, am I going too fast? I apologize. Is this too fast? I don't hear any. So just for a second, try this. Boom. Boom. So you're down, and your partner cuts your neck. When you stand, send your partner's weapon to your right while you move to the left, which looks like this. And you have to do it a lot, but you want to cause the change to your pivot. You want to cause this to be an opening. Basically, I'm here. If you just stay there, it's not wrong, but you should come back if you can. If you can come back, you should. Again. Come back, yes. Instead, you're actually going to generate a different energy when we move two opposite ways at the same time. Basically, it's like doing this, as opposed to going like this. This has power, doesn't it? That might have more, because you're actually using equal and opposite. So as you go through this kata, again, no ducking. So again, was that his failure? No, it was mine, because I'm going too fast to where he is. Always remember that you're working with the speed and the sensitivity, not skill necessarily, but sensitivity of your partner. Can I feel him there? There he is, and I try to cut him. That's the energetic part I'm speaking of. The critical moment there, when his head comes off or not, is what we're encouraging our partner to be aware of. Let's go again. There it is. So you can always increase that whole time, even slower. Right now, do you feel it? Send my weapon that way. Yes. Then the cut is easy. All right? So, what do we have now? 10. All these things are related. I think you're starting to see, I hope you are, that it's basically a single type of attack. And you're working on what type of sensitivity you're going to use with that particular partner at that moment. Okay, we're going to double back to these in just a little bit. Let's go on to number 11. Oh my goodness. Do I need to ski? The other one. Can you switch and hold? You ski. So get him up. And critical moment. Critical moment, right? Again, you ski, please. So here. And critical moment. Take the time to feel these moments. I know sometimes the rush is on to get it done. Ah, yeah, yeah. Ashi kote, yeah, ah, yeah. Yes, great. But until you feel where that is, it's good to slow down to study what the purpose was. The purpose was a finishing cut. So please. Leading. Here. Finishing cut. Notice that he's blocking his head pretty well. But it's the same process. If you're blocking your leg and you just reach for it, it's a little bit squirrely, right? Isn't it squirrely? Instead, same opportunity. Block your leg, reach over your right hand to make the turn. Now, there's a reason why there's oftentimes people use the variation. It may have, I think I heard somewhere that it's actually become the main way to do it. But the variation, since it did show at different points, and that was because something was off in the timing. Meaning that, you see that? So, right there. Leading. Right. Now, he had time to do the normal walk. He had time. He switched it. Let's keep. See, that was a change in time. There was not a deliberate cut. It's okay, make a deliberate cut. So that's when you feel like it's sped up, that's when this one comes in handy. But don't make that your default, because then you won't study the process of what to do. So that's why I want your partner to slow down and make a nice deliberate cut. And as always, your weight is there. Is my weight there? It's not just the sharpness of the blade, your weight is there. When you unleash this weapon, you're feeling your legs are moving. So that process now, if you remember, Ashi, reach over your own hand and turn. Block the Ashi, reach over your own hand and turn. Don't be in the habit of just blocking and go right to it, because you miss stuff. So, down. That's what you're looking for as a default steady. But don't forget, sometimes it's and then your weight is always there. My weight still there? Yes. Okay. Let's make sure I don't want to fake it. If I just touch his neck, no, I want to make sure that my weight settles into this. Okay? So what's the support on this? Let's say this is one of them. But the big one is, how do you lead it up? Ashi, finishing move. Lead it up. Ashi, kote. Lead it up. It'll get easier once you do it enough times. So a lot of times when things are not so easy, is because they're new to your system. The idea being, how can you increase the familiarity with all that? Okay? One more time. Slowly. Lead it up. Ashi. Okay. That cut. Yes. Okay, good, still good. 12. I think you speed, don't you? Okay. Please. Now, a little bit higher. The teaching point, or the critical point of this one, is to do everything you did not do in the other kata. You know what that means? Not pushing. The others, you were deliberately moving your partner and using responses. This one, no push. Basically, speed. No push. No push. But you use your weapon. Same thing. No push. No push. No push. The other kata, pushing. Other kata, cutting. This one, no push. No push. Bye-bye. And you're allowed to be heavy. I hope you all can see I'm being very heavy when I take the kote. Right here, this is heavy. You could just go this way, but for our purposes of not damaging your partner, think of weight rather than how sharp you can make it. You push it. You see that? And it's common because we just did 6 kata that said push. This time, don't push. And you use it. That's the idea. Yes. You go again. Don't push. Yeah. Switch. Bye-bye. Another possibility, because you're not pushing, your partner can walk into your weapon. So each of these kata have little teaching moments to them, but this one specifically, and as all of them, they relate directly to your empty hand. So what's the practice here? You receive, and you give back on the same line. So if I'm on this camera, if I can make this work. No push. Almost right. No push. Yes. Boom. So it's the saburi of no saburi. Saburi of no saburi. Now, it may be helpful. I know we've done all 12 at this point. It may be helpful to look at a little bit of additional solo practice with these. How much time do we have left? I have no idea. We're actually under the time. We're actually under, but he said we have the time, so I'll use it if that's okay. Share Sensei. I definitely recommend that if you have the wherewithal to have some sort of object in your house. Or how do you lead it up and cut? Or how do you lead it up and right when it pushes back, you can read it? All these kata have opportunities for that if you have a chair. And I'm going to go one better. Do we have a book handy? Something low? Oh, you don't mind? Thank you. You don't mind? Under one leg. Something that moves. You see what the time that it rebounds? When it rebounds, that's when you move. When it rebounds, that's when you move. So by yourself, yeah, we get into this and it's boring, but you don't have a sense of a real partner. Well, guess what? It's going to be a while before we get real partners in general. So it's nice to find ways that you can use objects that everyone has around the house. This is a very good one, but you need to have a very small book. If you have a big book, you need another weight on there. But the idea here is it's giving me feedback because it's moving. You understand? If you want to go the other side, or maybe actually same kata. Or if you're going to go to basket lead, you're taking it back with you. So you get some sense of feedback. That feedback is oftentimes missing from our normal practice or solo practice. Feedback is something, and one of the reasons that we go to concerts, live concerts, and I bet it's one of the reasons that we all go to practice live whenever we can, because you get the immediate physical feedback. Right? Next kata. I'm going to change sides so that it goes the other way. This is, if you can't see it, you change which leg is under so you know which way it's going to go. Right? This one goes. This is the ski. Right? Next. And then it goes the other way. Awesome. Remember, your first strike was this direction. As it recoils, Ashi Yuri. Where did I get that chair? I think it's an IKEA chair. Like $10. And it's wood. It's the sound of wood hitting wood, kind of like Bokken hitting Bokken. But basically, right, all that stuff still works here. Okay. What's after that? That was 9. No, that was 9-ish. 10. You want that solid resistance as opposed to swinging in air. That's the support. This is a different type of training, closer to Makiwara. As it rebounds, low enough to go through. Thank you so much. Through. I went too fast, but guess what? I was nagging. So in this case, I'll go a little slow, but I need to really back off. Understanding the danger. Yes. The danger is if he stays there and just tries to block up and down, as opposed to this way. We need to make a video of sword drills with a chair. Yeah. Or you can join us on Wednesday and Friday mornings. We've been doing this since March 20th, March 22nd. Next one, number 11. Oh, fun one, right? Same thing. Lead it up. Again, I'm really working on what is that deliberate cut. Of course you can go fast, you know. We're missing a big piece of how this training can work for us to make us better. He comes in, slowly. Make that even more solid. You want to really test your hand. So I'm going to slow down because I'm not it. I mean, I'm okay. Okay, we'll slow down. That's the idea. You all see this, right? I hope somebody's getting through this camera thing. The last one doesn't really involve the chair moving, but you can use it that way. And that is for 12. Partner moves in, and as you move, you're ready to cut. So you see. Now, oh yes, yeah, that's fine. But for the kata, let's see you handle the kote. Yeah. That's okay. I'll start. Take it easy. Take it. Yeah. Now, this is an interesting one because it is possible to lead your partner so many times that you kind of lull them to sleep a little bit. Instead, you want to try to cultivate this idea of like two ships crossing. So yes, we move in, we move back, but the critical point is when you actually start moving towards each other. Those of you that have done this kata for a little bit understand where that is. When it's not right, I'll do better. This is done badly. See me receiving it before you go forward, further forward? Instead, slowly right here. Right now he's moving forward, don't stop him. He's moving forward. Basically you are receiving while you're moving forward, which is is in some ways counter to how we normally train. We tend to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth too. But now your partner's moving in while you're moving in. You get this in your mind? So this one normal. He moves in, I move in. Critical moment. Critical moment. And understanding that a lot of times makes all these kata very different. So, quick recap with the little time we have left. That says 4:41. What time is it? Please, I'm sorry.
That's just how long the Zoom is. It's 2:30.
2:30, okay.
Oh, you
And I have like
have
5-10 minutes or so. 10 minutes. Oh, okay, we got a little extra time, okay. I can't believe it. We did 7 kata in 40 minutes. Can you believe it? 50 minutes? Wow. Okay. Anyway, let's do that one more time. So he skis. Your partner can feel. Remember, he's not practicing Aikido by himself in a room with a dummy. Yeah, I'm a dummy, but not just with a dummy. It's the idea of both people practicing. So you can tell when your partner's weight is off, his balance is off, without him pushing. Yes. You can feel that, right? You can tell that the thing is done. Here we go, one more time. Come on, man. That's good. And you get options about all this stuff. What do you think? Anyone got any questions about the stuff that we covered today? I think we have time to take questions if necessary. If I can help, please ask while we're here.
Folks are really loving Chair Sensei.
I'm sorry?
Folks are really loving Chair Sensei.
Chair Sensei.
Or
yeah, Chair Sensei.
Yes. I think a couple of people would love to see a video of your chair saburi.
Ah, okay. Cool. We'll think about me and my wife will think about how we can do that.
Question, can you please repeat the first saburi?
First saburi, okay. So basically tasabaki. Seigan, move down, yeah. Gedan, move to the left while you raise your weapon. Move to the right while your weapon goes back down. So at the basis of it, you can go up, down, up, down, up, down. Now there's some discussion sometimes about how much up and how much to the side. My feeling is that it happens organically because you're not really pushing your partner, you're steering. And basically, if you don't move, I kind of get the feeling you'll hit yourself. That's what I feel. To me, it feels like if I don't move, I will hit myself. I'll do this if you can take that. There you go. If I don't move, I should hit myself. Instead, I'm moving away from where I used to be. That'll give you a sense of what I'm feeling. You will feel something different because it's your body. And when you do it with a partner now, he's doing the same thing. But you notice now, because of returning fire, it's going to cause us to go in a clockwise motion, ever so slightly. So it's speed. Now, whenever you're ready, change. I want you to change. So it can be saburi, but I do want you to practice getting out of saburi. You understand? That idea of looks like something familiar and then it's not. To moving back. I'm not sure what you mean, Jim Sensei. The advantages to moving back. Let me see. Let's try. Because I don't know what your body feels, I can't say that there's an advantage or disadvantage. But
I'm just asking, you're going side to side?
Yes.
I usually go back and in.
Yeah. Since we have these, I'm glad I had the forethought. As a saburi, but what you're actually doing is this. That's what you're actually doing. But the idea of slowing it down, because Uke is not really going to survive those. Often, some people do when they get the sensitivity. The idea is we're slowing it down to see what that moment is. He sees, right now we're cutting, he takes it up. And the same thing that happens to his side. I could be so amazed that I missed, I get hit. Let's do that one, but just don't kill me too much. Yes. You understand? We're both cutting kote. It's just that it will be a saburi if we just keep cutting kote and missing. So the change happens when you actually go to cut, and instead, same timing, you move through it. That's the idea of how you get this to change from being a saburi to kata to actual self-defense. How do you actually make this become more than just a stick? Let's try one more time, please. See, I changed the rhythm. And it's probably worth saying, that's the biggest thing that our kata, in order to help our kata advance, is to understand even rhythm is saburi. And a change of rhythm, we get into kata, a change of rhythm. So if we do everything the same speed, click, clap, click, clap. Now, go through the kata, click, clap, click, clap. Click, clap, I'll speak. I want you to click, clap, click, clap. Yes. But what happens if he changes the rhythm ever so slightly? Click, clap, click. There we go. That's when we start to see the fire happen because it's not predictable. It's not an even time. It's not supposed to be even. That would be like, in other words, that's a really bad saburi example because I just want you to see it's just even. It doesn't have a meaning. Instead, we go, because I change the rhythm. I change it. It's the change we're looking for kata practice. Did that answer the question, I hope, of how do you make this side to side? If I move back, I get the feeling that I would miss a lot of that timing. Not that you couldn't do it. I get the feeling if I move back, I've missed the timing. He's not there anymore. But if I move to the side, it can be very, very quick because you're understanding that it's not to be even. The more even it is, the more it's like support. Nice and even. Just even. You tried. Now we're going to call them lefty though, okay? So the idea here is how do you make the change? And oftentimes, backing up during the exchange is where you might lose timing. And again, your body is different than mine. So for me, I don't want to back up. I want to change angle. And I want to change orientation. But I don't want to back up. I hope that answered. Anyone questions? No?
I'm not seeing any more.
Okay.
Chat. Oh, thanks. That answers my question.
Thank you so very much. Thank you. Yeah. Any other questions, anyone? Let's run them. We're just going to run them straight through. That'll finish the class, and hopefully we'll make a good example. Okay. Move the chair. Chair Sensei is a very good thing to have if you have one. Thank you so very much. Okay. 6. Nice and easy. Let's go back to the question. I like the sound. Another thing that helps, if you're able to, is to use these larger, more straight weapons that Saotome Sensei designed, as opposed to the others. The others are great too, but for kata practice, you get that sense of where things actually go. And it does not mean I say this is the only way to do it, but more often than not, when Sensei's doing these kata, he's using this weapon, and when he's doing more free movement, he uses the other. What's your choice? No. Let me see. Nice and easy. Yes. 7. Peel off. Yes. There you go. Good. 8. Oh, got me one. I win sometimes. I'll go slow. Again, okay. So here, I'm going for your head. That's the idea. Good. That was also number 9. Important point, sorry, I didn't mean to stop at this point. Important point, don't, and I said this before, don't just move your leg. The tendency is, because we don't move a lot, the tendency is to move in and move the weapon. Instead, the best way to guard your leg is to move your leg. So once more. There you go. Wonderful. 9. There you go. Good. 10. Yes, you felt it. Good. So you saw I slowed down a little bit when I felt there was a disconnect, when I felt we were not connected. Again, that's an uke issue. Say it again. There it is. Yes. There you go. Beautiful, beautiful. Number 11. One more time. Don't rush. We're working through these. I'm really not trying to surprise you. I'm really not, I promise. There we go. Yep. Slow down is always the way to improve on your system. And 12, I believe is speed. That's it. No push. No, I speed. No push. Now enter. Don't go backwards. No, don't go backwards. Yeah. Now you can make a choice. You have a decision to make. One more time. Last time. No push. You feel it? There it is. That's the idea. Good. Yeah? Thank you all so very much. どうもありがとうございました。Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Sorry. Thank you. Great work. Thank you. Pleasure is mine. Give me that elbow.
I can keep it open for a minute if folks have questions.
Oh, I thought those were questions. Okay. If anyone has questions, I'm certainly.
Any final questions?
Thank you all very much. Thank you for coming in. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you.
A lot of thank yous, so I'll add to that. Thank you, Chris, and thank you, Babacar. Wonderful class.
Yes, thank you, Babacar.
We're only a few minutes off schedule here, so, some of you have been at it since the morning. There is one more event for today, panel discussion on weapons training, and particularly Sensei's Bokken Kata. So I'm going to take a short break. Maybe we plan on kicking this off at 3 o'clock, which would give folks who have been training an opportunity to change or otherwise, freshen up. I'm sure it's 5 o'clock somewhere in the world, so feel free to come back with a beverage of your choice, and we'll have our panel discussion with myself, Chuck Weber, Sensei, Lee Crawford, and Jim Alvarez. And Jen has an announcement. So
Hi, everybody. I just have a quick announcement. I know there were some folks who contacted us letting us know they didn't get the link to the Zoom call. If you know any of those, any folks that didn't get the link, let them know that there was, if there was an issue with folks who registered with multiple emails. The email that the link was sent to was the one you registered with, not the email that you wrote that maybe was your preferred email. So if you have multiple emails and you use them to register for camp, check both emails, and also let folks know, if you know people who didn't get the link, that they should check both emails if they registered with both. And if you have any questions, you can contact us at the ASU Summer Intensive email address.
All right, thank you.
Jen, and apologies on that tech issue. Sometimes these things pop up, but hopefully everyone will get the link. So again, quick break. We will reconvene at 3 o'clock for our panel discussion. Thank you very much.
Yep, we're also going to try to send out the link again to all the email
Okay.
addresses later tonight.